Let's talk about Amazon S3 storage classes. I know, it can feel a little complicated, but trust me, getting this right is the absolute key to saving a ton of money and avoiding some major headaches down the road. So in the next few minutes, we're going to break it all down and figure out how to pick the perfect one for your data.
So let me start by asking you a question. Are you paying too much for your cloud storage? It's something every single developer and architect has to think about. Storing data in the cloud is amazing, but if you're using the wrong tool for the job, the wrong storage class, you could literally be burning through your budget. So how do we fix that?
Well, here's the trick. I want you to think of S3 as a giant, high-tech refrigerator. Yeah, a refrigerator. Some stuff, you need right at the front where you can grab it instantly. Other things can go in the back. And some stuff, well, it belongs deep in the freezer for long-term storage. If we organize our data this way, we can make sure everything is stored super efficiently and, most importantly, cost-effectively.
Okay, first up, let's open the fridge door and look at the main shelves. This is for your hot data, the stuff you're grabbing all the time, every single day. And that brings us to S3 Standard. This is the default, the go-to, the most accessible part of your refrigerator. It's absolutely perfect for things like website content, data for your mobile apps, or any kind of active analytics workloads that you need right now, instantly.
And look at the combination here. S3 Standard is built for both incredible performance and rock-solid durability. You're getting high throughput and super low latency for lightning-fast access. But, and this is crucial, your data is also stored across multiple different facilities for extreme durability. It's truly the best of both worlds, fast and safe.
But, what if you have no idea how often you're going to need your data? Maybe it's a new project. That's where S3 Intelligent Tiering comes into play. Think of this like having smart, dynamic shelves that literally rearrange themselves for you. And here's the magic of intelligent tiering. It's all automated. It actually watches your data's access patterns, and if it sees an object that hasn't been touched in a while, it automatically moves it to a cheaper, infrequent access tier. You get all the cost savings without lifting a finger, which makes it an absolute game changer for new applications where you just don't know the access patterns yet. Okay, so we've covered the main shelves. Now let's move a little further back into the kitchen, into what I like to call the pantry. This is for data you don't need every day, but when you do need it, you need it fast.
And in our pantry, we have S3 Standard IA. This is ideal for things like long-term backups or maybe disaster recovery files. You get to store them for a lower price than S3 Standard because you're not accessing them all the time, but they're still available in milliseconds when an emergency strikes.
Now here's the trade-off, and you can see it right there in the cost model. You get a lower storage price, which is great, but there's a small per gigabyte fee every time you pull the data out. For anyone studying for the exam, remembering this retrieval fee is a huge differentiator for all the infrequent access classes.
Okay, what if you want to save even more money? Well, for that, there's S3 One Zone IA. Think of it as a special compartment in your pantry. It's cheaper, but, and this is a big but, it comes with one important catch. It only stores your data in a single availability zone.
And this slide just lays out that key difference perfectly. Standard IA gives you that high durability by spreading your data across multiple availability zones. One Zone IA, on the other hand, trades that resilience for a lower price point. This makes it a fantastic choice for things like secondary backup copies or for data that you could easily recreate if you had to.
All right, time to head down to the basement, to the deep freezer. This is for your archives, the data you absolutely have to keep, but will very, very rarely, if ever, actually need to access.
So, the S3 Glacier family, its whole reason for existing is to give you the absolute lowest cost storage possible in the cloud. This is your go-to for things like long-term regulatory compliance or for archiving old project files you don't actively use anymore.
Now, if you remember one thing about the Glacier classes, it has to be retrieval time. And just look at this range. You can get archives back in milliseconds with instant retrieval, which is just incredible. Or, for the absolute rock-bottom cheapest price, you can use Deep Archive, where you might have to wait up to 12 hours. The choice you make depends entirely on how quickly you'd ever need to thaw out that frozen data.
This table breaks it down so nicely. Glacier Instant is for archives you might need to look at once a quarter, like medical images. Flexible Retrieval is your bulk option, for when you need to pull a huge data set maybe once a year. And Deep Archive, that's your set it and forget it tier for regulatory data that you're legally required to keep for 7, 10, or even more years.
Phew, okay, that was a lot.
So how in the world do you remember all of this, especially if you've got an AWS certification exam coming up? Let's distill it down to a few critical tips.
If you remember one single thing from this entire explainer, please make it this. Every single storage class question on the exam is really a question about trade-offs. You are always balancing three things: the cost of storage, the speed of access, and the level of durability.
So here's your mental checklist for exam day. First, think about retrieval times and fees. Is access in milliseconds or hours, and is there a fee to get it back? Second, understand the availability zone difference. Is the data in one zone or spread across multiple? That's the key for one zone IA. And third, be able to match the class to the use case. If a question mentions compliance, your brain should immediately scream Glacier Deep Archive.
And this really is the bottom line, straight from AWS. Mastering S3 storage classes isn't just some academic exercise to pass a test. It's fundamental to building well-architected, cost-optimized solutions in the real world.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. With all the projects you're working on right now, and after seeing this breakdown, is your data in the right part of the refrigerator? Thanks so much for joining me.